Welcome to Animal Posse, the podcast dedicated to the people and rescues making a difference in the lives of animals. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Animal Posse. I want to thank everybody who is supporting us and listening. Today's guest is Brittany Barnett, and we are going to talk about the Lemonaid Stand NOLA. Welcome to the show, Brittany. I'm excited to talk about the Lemonaid Stand NOLA. Before we get started with that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I got into animal rescue because I work at a vet clinic. I'm a receptionist. I've always been an animal lover. I just took a little break from doing animal stuff in college and teaching, and then I got back into it once I was like, I need a break with animals again. And then the past 4 years, I've been working at this vet clinic and got hooked up with all of the rescue organizations in New Orleans that kind of came through our doors. But yeah, love animals, love plants, love working for the hospital and helping the community with their animals. So I'm from Florida and moved to New Orleans with my partner about 4 years ago. And I feel like this has been my main community here, and it's been awesome.
Great. Can you start by telling us the origin story of the Lemonaid Stand NOLA? What specifically inspired you to create it around animal welfare in the New Orleans community?
Yeah, so it was a convergence of a lot of things. It started out, we were in this era of a lot of dog bars popping up, a lot of cat cafes popping up, and I always thought that was super cool. And I want to be a part of something like that where people can just hang out with their animals and enjoy other people's animals. I feel like there's not enough spaces where it's both recreational and appreciative for the humans and for the animals. Being in the like foster and animal rescue community, a lot of my kind of free time revolved around adoption events, which are super fun. I love adoption events, but you almost feel like you're on the clock with those. So I wanted to do something that's a little bit more recreational, but also with that rescue element. And around that time that I was thinking about all of this, I'd already been involved with Take Pause Rescue, but we had this dog named Clara who came into our clinic for a bullet wound. She was paralyzed. We were hoping that she would get over it, but she ended up living at my clinic for about 4 or 5 months, just recovering. It was with Mid-City Mutt Mamas, and, they were coming to visit her every week, every few days, trying to get her back to where she could maybe walk or have some sort of mobility function. She was with us for a really long time, and I'm front desk, so we do a lot of the billing. And every week, since she was with us long term, I'd have to give them a call and go over the bill. And I could tell the stress was just increasing, as the rescue organizations do when they have these mounting bills with a hard health case. And so, yeah, I was trying to like troubleshoot with them how they could save money. I was like, bring your own food. You're going to save money if you bring your own food because we're going to be charging you an upcharge. Like, we're not a nonprofit. So they were just spending a lot of money that I was like, I really wish I could help with this. And then also around that time, I got an idea from a 9 and 7-year-old kids. They were this wonderful family that adopted my first foster dog. I fostered her with Take Pause Rescue, and sweet little girls. They threw a lemonade stand for Take Pause Rescue just in their own neighborhood. And I was like, that is so cute. Like, I love lemonade stands, and I love the fact that they're raising money for a good cause. And so I was like, what if I could do this kind of recreational thing for adults and families, but it's also a place where people can come together and network and raise money and have fun and showcase adoptable dogs, which Clara was technically adoptable, even though she had a lot of issues medically that they were trying to fix and weren't even thinking about that. But we see, being at a hospital, I see all of these owners who are going through so much with their animals. I'm like, there's definitely people who know how to deal with this kind of issue. So it's just a matter of finding the right fit for this dog so that you're not paying for medical boarding for 4, 5, 6 months. So I decided to do this lemonade stands, and I advertised it right at the time the Barkus parade was happening. One of my throws that I do for Barkus with Take Paws Rescue is a zine, which is like a little mini magazine. So I put my first kind of advertisement for the lemonade stand coming soon in my throw. I was like, I guess it's happening. And we got Clara there, and we sold lemonade, we sold brownies, stuff like that. And we had a pretty good turnout. People who had been following Clara's story and who wanted to support her and see her out in the wild, not just at the hospital looking pitiful, but being a dog and enjoying the company of people and other dogs. And so after that, I was inspired to foster her, to try and get idea about how she would be in a home. And so I ended up fostering her for about 2 months and decided to keep on doing this lemonade stands just from that kind of concept. And I didn't want to focus on one particular rescue. I had been working with Take Paws and Spaymart and Mid-City Mamas, but I wanted to, also highlight other rescues because they're all doing the work, that's for sure. And I've found each organization has their different niche and their different vibe. And I think it's good to give people access to different rescues. One, if they ever need help networking an animal that needs help, but also if they do want to volunteer or foster, sometimes you just click with one over the other. So it became this like every month or two thing when the weather was good. It was mostly in my yard. There was one other one that's been in a friend's yard. One I did at Spaymart thrift store back when it was in Metairie. And it's just a little pop-up where we sell lemonade and have a good time. Let the dogs play. Not at Spaymart. We had a little after party where the dogs could play after. Otherwise, when we did it at Spaymart, it was play with the kitties that are at the thrift store.
Yeah, the dogs wouldn't have done good in there.
No. And I love cat rescue, and I'm a big part of cat rescue, but it's really fun to let, dogs that are typically in rescue and might not always have that opportunity to have an off-leash adoption event, be able to play and have this more low-key atmosphere. So I focused on dogs in the past, but I usually tend to have a litter of kittens at the same time. So I'll be like, go visit the kittens in my guest bathroom while you're here. And so we outreach the cats in that way too. And then on the off season was really hot for having a play day like that. I just go into Spaymart thrift store and do an outreach with them and posting in that way. And same with Take Paws. I foster with Take Paws. So trying to go to events and show off different dogs. And then ones that come into my clinic, just trying to advertise them as well. The ones that have been stuck or have larger medical bills.
I love how you came up with the idea with the children too, because I was going to say Lemonade Stand, it often evokes youth, entrepreneurship, and making the best of things. And now your lemonade stand is a little bit different. Can you tell us how you spell it?
Yeah. So it's lemon, which is what we call dogs and cats that have a lot of issues. And then in the medical field, at least. So, oh, that dog's a lemon. They're always coming into the vet for this, that, or the other. And then aid is AID. So, yeah, just combines this lemon and aid to be a little play on words so that people are like, okay, but what is that? It's not a typical lemonade stand. It's a little different. The Lemonaid Stand NOLA was born.
Now, you said you do these stands in your yard. When you do them, how many people do you have normally showing up? How many dogs do you have showing up?
Yeah, so usually it ends up being somewhere between 20 and 35 people showing up. So it's not big. I don't have a super large yard, but one of my first priorities was making sure it was super dog friendly and double gated and everything so people feel safe to let their dogs off. So yeah, it's pretty intimate, and it's usually over a span of 3 hours so people can come and go. If people want to hang out like the first 30 minutes or just stop by for a drink and say hi to the pet that we're showcasing. And there's some people that stay the whole time and hang out, and yeah, just play the whole time. It's pretty fun. And it depends on what we're selling. Sometimes we get a really good raffle item. I love when I get raffle donations. So usually the best way to gain money from it is have a raffle. And then if you sign up for the raffle, you get free drinks the whole time and as many baked goods as you want. So you can munch the whole time. And then you get entered into the raffle. And that usually is how we make the most money instead of just $1 a cup for lemonade. And it's great. Usually people come out with $100 gift cards to the doghouse, which we love and has always been supportive of rescues. Winston's Pub and Patio has always been great with donating. We've had really good donations from some of the boarding facilities around town. So that's always helpful. So we usually end up making about $250. Our largest one for Clara was almost $700. Sometimes it seems like it doesn't make a dent, especially when her bills were only like $2,000 a month. Part of the reason we do it is for outreach of the animals and outreach of the rescues.
You get them the exposure, but even if you think of it in terms of things like for 250, like for a cat, how many spays and neuters is that? So it does definitely make a difference. Now, how do you go about like getting all of your supplies and getting everything that you need? Do you have a setup or anything specific that you use since it's technically a lemonade stand?
Yeah, I pretty much donate the actual food and supplies on my own. That's kind of like my donation portion of it. So it's pretty easy though. It's just go get some lemons, sugar, cups, and then baked goods. We love our Costco. We always get bulk stuff from Costco. So just like kids, when they're making a lemonade stand, you're not making a ton of profit, but like when you do it in bulk and we're selling it one at a time, it's not too bad. Otherwise, we always have bug spray and sunscreen, but it's really not that many people all at once. So it's pretty low cost and ends up being a really good time for not too much work. My main work that I put into, honestly, is trying to get people to come and outreaching it. And then just day of making sure we have the lemonade all set up and depending on the weather and praying for good weather.
Do you have a lot of the same people coming? Do you have a lot of new people coming?
Yeah, I love that we usually get different groups of people for different rescues. And then there's some people who have been coming from the get-go who are just clear supporters. Of course, personal friends of mine have been super helpful in spreading the word. So a lot of my personal friends come out and support animal lovers of New Orleans that I've made over time. And then each rescue does their own outreach for it because all the money goes to them. And so then we get those avid supporters and their friends, their family comes on out. And then just a lot of people in the neighborhood. I always put out flyers all around the neighborhood. So sometimes it's just local people who see the flyers on the Lafitte Greenway because I live in mid-city Treme area. Put them out around the Bayou St. John. And so people are out walking their dogs and just stop by sometimes.
Do you get any kind of permits to do these?
I don't. I have a liability waiver that I have everyone sign when they come in. So I have a little sign-in sheet and suggested vaccines, spay, neuter, and everything. But cross my fingers, so far hasn't been any issues. But I've been thinking about maybe trying to make it a little bit more official. But so far it's just been like, sign this waiver, please don't hold me or anyone who comes liable, and just a little private party.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Have you thought about going to pop up in other areas too? I know you said you did one at the thrift store for Spay Mart, but have you done them like pop ups anywhere else too?
Yeah, so I have a friend down the road who hosted one in her yard for us. And then another friend with Take Pause who hosted one in her yard, and she even got some friends to play some music. It was around Christmas time last year. So we had some Christmas music playing. Did instead of lemonade, we did hot toddies and hot chocolate and live music. So that was really cool. I really appreciate it when other people host. They have good yards for dogs. The main thing I say is just safe plants and a good gate so that everyone's safe when they get to play.
Being that you're from Florida, do you notice that there's any different obstacles in rescue in the New Orleans area that you didn't see in maybe Florida?
It's the South. It's all bad. I was in North Florida, so it's still pretty bad. There's a lot of rural areas that have a hard time getting people to spay and neuter. And that being said, I was not nearly as plugged into the rescue community when I did live in Florida, since I moved pretty soon after college. But as a kid, they had this camp at the Animal Service Center. It was like our Tallahassee, Florida Humane Society, and they had a camp called Camp Barkley. And it was so fun. We bathed puppies, we cleaned litter boxes, we learned about heartworm prevention, flea prevention, spay and neuter. I still get the song stuck in my head every once in a while about spaying and neuter. And they were teaching us the same stuff that I'm trying to teach people about why we spay and neuter and why we try to support rescues over breeders, the ill effects of backyard breeding, and all that. And unfortunately, after COVID, it ceased to exist, I found out. So I think the rescues in North Florida, at least, are still struggling a little bit post COVID, and the increase in adoptions during COVID, but then the increase in returns after people started going to work. I hear a lot of issues with that back from friends from home. It seems like South Florida is a little bit better though, because I hear a lot of people ship off animals to rescues in South Florida. One of the lemonade stands we had for Spay Mart was for a dog that Lynn, the director, ended up being able to get into a shelter in South Florida, and he was adopted quite quickly there. So I think it's just an education thing. I think it's a population thing. I think the higher the population, like the bigger cities, tend to have a better grip on making sure that the public is educated about getting their dogs and cats spayed and neutered and rescuing, just because they can't handle overpopulation. It's too obvious in the bigger cities, I think.
I wish we had some kind of little camp like that here. I think that would be
Mhm.
something that would be very beneficial to get the youth involved.
Yes, I know. If I could find something like that or start something like that. I have a friend with Take Paws Rescue actually who works at a school, and she's done field trips to the Stray Cafe. So things like that I think are awesome. I know LASPCA used to have something like that, and same with the Interpup. They used to have something like that, but I think they lost their funding, and I think there was a lot of red tape involved with taking animals to schools or getting
Mhm.
kids to go with the animals. So I think there's just been a lot of barriers and not enough funding to make it happen. But it was really beneficial to me as a kid.
What is an aspect of animal welfare in NOLA that you believe the general public is least aware of?
I think there's just people who don't realize how many animals there really are, which is why I think it is so important to show kids shelters. I think everyone needs to visit a shelter at some point in their life while they're young. And then they'd realize just how sad and how dire it is when people don't keep their commitment to their animals. And of course, things happen where people die or illness happens, and we need those shelters and we need those rescues to be able to help with those emergency situations. But it really truly should be emergency situations, not people choosing breeders, backyard breeders, or deciding not to spay and neuter just because they want their cute cat or cute dog to have one litter or feel bad about spaying or neutering their animal. Because, yeah, the shelters are just in such dire situations. Every rescue, if you follow, I'd say at least once a week, they're posting a plea for someone to foster or a plea for someone to take in a returned animal. There's just such an overpopulation, unfortunately.
Well, maybe with your lemonade stand, since it does, like I said before, evoke youth, maybe that's a way too to get children involved. Like maybe they'll see something like you doing that through social media, and maybe they'll think, oh,
Mm.
well, that's something that I could do too.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I always try and make it as family friendly as possible. It ends up being mostly adults, but we've had some kids show up. And definitely my neighborhood kids are always like, "Ooh, can we get some lemonade? Can we come help?" And I'm like, "I need you to bring a parent. I cannot let you come and play with a bunch of strange dogs without a parent around." But they always have fun, like seeing all the dogs come in and out of my yard and everything. And if they do come with a parent, they do learn a lot about the dogs and the stories of the dogs that come in, because most of our attendees are rescues because they were adopted through the rescue that we're supporting that day, or they're part of the foster community. So, yeah, everyone who comes is able to share some story about why they love and care for their animals or how they came to be involved with the rescue, which is really great.
When you set up your stand, do you do it all by yourself or do you have a friend helping you?
Yeah, my partner has been great, very helpful. And then I always recruit one of my friends or someone with the rescue. Hey, you want to kind of tackle the telling people about the rescue, giving them the information, or if I'm talking to someone, you can help give some education and serve the beverages. Yeah, it's usually a hodgepodge of friends or my partner or one of the volunteers with the rescue helping out with it. But we keep it as low key as possible. And most of the time, it's just honor system, self serve half the time. Once I tell them this is what the raffle is, this is the suggested donations, and people have been extremely generous.
That's great. When you're gonna set it up the stand for a rescue, how do you go about selecting the rescue that you're gonna go with? Do they approach you or do you just see the stories of the things that they're sharing and their direct needs?
Yeah. So Clara, I approached them and I approached them about the idea, and they were totally on board. They were a little nervous about the off leash aspect, but once we had some rules in place and like a plan in place, and we kept Clara separate until she got used to all the dogs because she hadn't been socialized, it just fell into place. And everyone has always been really respectful. Usually it's rescues that I've met from my work. Like my next one that I'm having is going to be on November 1st for New Orleans Bulldog Rescue. And Lydia Plant is one of the volunteers. She brings in a lot of dogs where I work. And so I was like, are there any dogs that need outreach? Because I'd been really wanting to work with New Orleans Bulldog Rescue. And she thought of two right off the bat that had been in rescue for a while. So I approached her, but then I'm like, who do you need outreach? And then my last one was Take Pause. And it was actually my foster dog that I had for a whole year. It was his foster versary. He is a really timid guy. And so he had a really hard time getting adopted because every person that he met, he acted like their hands were made of lava and just did not want to be touched or approached by anyone except me. So we had a little one for him. So it is definitely personal connections. When Lynn told me about the dog that she intook, which was Spay Mart, they normally do cats, but every once in a while a dog comes through and Lynn doesn't say no very often. She approached me. She was like, hey, can you help me outreach this dog? And I was like, let's do a lemonade stand for him. So it tends to be collaborative, or me seeing a lot of posts from particular rescues and wanting to help them out because I could see that they're having a lot of cases and could use some public outreach. Yeah.
How many total stands have you done, and have you seen any success with the adoptions through hosting the stands, either by maybe making people aware of a rescue that they didn't know existed or through a direct adoption?
Yeah. So Clara, I fostered her after my stand, but because I was put the flyers up at my clinic, we were able to find her a long-term foster after the stand. Giselle with Companion Rescue, one of her fosters has taken a lot of special needs dogs. And so once she heard about my stand and that we were looking for a foster for Clara, she reached out to her foster who thought would be a good fit. And we found a foster for her, which ended up being a long-term hospice. Unfortunately, Clara passed last month from lymphoma. So they end up being her hospice. So that was my first one. My second one was with Take Pause. Let's see. I think I probably had about 12 in total. I haven't counted. But we did Take Pause. We've done Mid-City Mamas. We did Spay Martinex. And then we did next. We did Zeus's Rescue right around the time that Scrim was out on his second adventure. And we did a Scrim one to fundraise for all of his issues when he came back into rescue. We did Abdi, which is now Harahan Veterinary Hospital, for a dog that they had. It was an owner surrender that they had in their clinic for many months with no luck on getting him adopted. During that time, he did get adopted just within a week of the stand because one of our rescue partners who helped with that stand was able to get him into a northern transport. So I think just getting him out in public was helpful for getting the networking done, not directly, but indirectly. And then the inner pup was our sixth one. I think we just did it for like general, the inner pup, because they don't do specific adoptions. They help owners get care for their pets and get heartworm treatment for pets all around the city and the New Orleans general area. So we didn't even have a specific pet in mind for that one. It was more just to get people in the know about the services that they offered and raise money for the inner pup. Then this one was personal. My next one was for Maverick with Trampled Rose, who was found by one of the technicians who I work with. And he needed heartworm treatment and he had a whole litter of puppies. It seemed to be a backyard breeder situation where they ran out of money and then just abandoned this litter. So we did a fundraiser for Malcolm. And then the next fundraiser was for the mom who also was heartworm positive. And that was for Shell's rescue. It's a very small rescue, but she does a lot of special needs cases as well. And quite a few of the puppies that were present at that stand, they all were held because they were not fully vaccinated, but they got passed around a lot. Quite a few of the adoptions with them were from people sharing from the Lemonaid Stand about them and showing all the cute videos of them snuggling with people and being generally precious.
That's great. It's very inspiring because it just goes to show you that you can get involved any way you can. And you don't need a lot to start getting involved with rescue, where I think people think that you need to have something really structured if you want to help, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can do so many things. You can be supportive by coming to one of these fun adoption events or outreach events, tent fostering, volunteering once or twice. Like every time that you help out with a rescue or a shelter, you're at least telling one or two people about it and raising awareness and just putting it more in the forefront of your mind so that you bring it up more so that more people know about rescues and why we do the work that we do.
Definitely. Where do you see your lemonade stand going in, say, the next 5 years?
I hope to keep on doing them. It's been a really fun journey. I do want to figure out more ways to involve cats. I really love like kitty cafe ideas. So maybe I'll try and do something a little bit more inside at some point, because we've always struggled with like the really hot weather because we don't want to overheat dogs. And that's right at the peak of kitten season. So maybe I'll try and find a venue or something where we can have more people meeting kittens to outreach about kitten season. I would really like that, because this past summer I've done a lot more kitten fostering. I'm like, it really does never end.
Yeah, no, it,
Like
it never ends.
as cute as kittens are, and like they always have gotten adopted much quicker than my fostered dogs. I'm still getting litters where I'm returning back to PetSmart where my kittens end up. And I'm like, oh my God, they've been here for 3 months. They're barely even kittens anymore. And yeah, it's just sad. So I think having something with kittens where people can see how many are coming into rescue and how many requests there are for someone to take the kittens that are living underneath my house, or the mama cat that I trapped that now has 6 babies. Oh, they all have Pan Luke, but not everyone does. So I'd love to do something more with the cats so that we can have it a little bit more less seasonally. And yeah, I think just trying to find a better way. I think a lot of people are a little nervous about coming because I don't do like official vaccine checks. And I think maybe I could make my waiver a little bit better. Some of the rescues have definitely been like a little nervous about it. And thankfully everything's been well. But I would like to have more protections in place for people if anything ever went wrong. Because I love dog parks, but animals are unpredictable sometimes. So safety is definitely always a concern for me.
It definitely sounds like you're doing a lot of good with it. And I think it's a cute idea. I used to be a lemonade stand kid, so I would always pop up my little lemonade stand when I was a child.
Yes. Yeah, my nephews started it too. They just shot me $30 to help with my litter of kittens from their lemonade stand a few Sundays ago.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
even they're involved, and they're in Florida.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, hopefully
So
that may
cute.
be a way to get more kids involved, make it fun for them, and they can see the need that animals have.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I think that would be a good step to make, is trying to get more kids involved, because we need the youth to help with the next generation of animal rescue. I think we got a lot of great retirees who are doing animal rescue, and a lot of young people, but I think more young people is what we really need to keep the cycle going and make lasting change.
Absolutely. I loved hearing about your stand. It's a very interesting idea, and you're definitely out there doing a lot of good for sure, helping with all these rescues, and every little bit helps.
Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening and supporting us. If you want to take that an extra step, consider becoming a member. We just added this to our website, animalposse.com. Scroll down, look for the support tab. Our membership program is going to help us directly support animals in need, whether that be through vaccinations, food, or spay neuter efforts.
Bars in the night, claws in the fight, whiskers twitch and tails take flight. They're calling in stories to spin, from the wild to the heart within. Broken wings and hopeful springs, we're the voices for these things. Animal tips, the rescuers' grit, the foster homes where love won't quit. From a pup in the rain to a bird in pain, every soul's worth the strain. Animal Posse, hear the call. We stand together, big and small. Rescue tales, we've got it all. Animal Posse, saving them all. Every caller tells a tale, every howl a whispered wail. We rise up, we never fail. This is the bond, the holy grail. Animal Posse, hear the call. We stand together, big and small. Rescue tales, we've got it all. Animal Posse, saving them all. Every caller tells a tale, every howl a whispered wail. We rise up, we never fail. This is the bond, the holy